A warm welcome, dear students. Today we are discussing Human Reproductive System Part 2, Female Reproductive System. Let us learn the different organs present in female reproductive system. They are ovaries, oviducts, uterus, vagina and vulva. In this picture, you can see a pair of ovaries here. This is the primary reproductive part of female reproductive system. Pair of ovaries because it produces ovum or egg. Then other four parts are accessory reproductive parts, or it's coming under accessory reproductive parts. They are oviducts, uterus, vagina, vulva. Oviducts, here you can see that these are oviducts, tube-like structure, also known as fallopian tube. Fallopian tube to convey the egg released from the ovary. That is a function of fallopian tube or oviduct, to convey the egg released from the ovary. Then the another organ present in female reproductive system, that is uterus. Here you can see that a sac-like structure or sac-like or pear-shaped structure of female reproductive system is uterus. What is the function of uterus? For the growth and development of the embryo developed from the egg. Yes, development of embryo will happen inside the uterus. Then another organ present in female reproductive system, that is vagina. This part is vagina. Then vulva is the outermost part. These are the different organs present in female reproductive system. We can learn each organ in detail. Which is the primary reproductive part present in female reproductive system? They are a pair of ovaries. The two ovaries are small ovoid bodies. Then their peripheral part, here you can see that peripheral part produces ova or eggs. Normally only one egg matures in each ovary in every alternative month. Then this is the initial stage of egg. Then after maturation or maturing egg contained in a cellular sac. This cellular sac is called follicle. Egg is covered by a cellular sac at the time of maturing. That cellular sac is called follicle. Here you can see this is the picture of ovary. Inside the ovary, egg or ovum is there. As the egg grows larger, the follicle also enlarges. What is follicle? The cellular structure surrounds the egg. That is called follicle. As the egg grows larger, the follicle also enlarges and get filled with a fluid. And now it is called Graafian follicle. This is Graafian follicle. That Graafian follicle contains a particular fluid. When ripe, the follicle bulges over the surface of the ovary. Follicle bulges over the surface of the ovary. Here you can see that this is ovary. A pair of ovary you can see in female reproductive system. When the egg or ovum matures, Graafian follicle bulges over the surface of the ovary. Here you can see clearly. Then what is oogenesis? Oogenesis is the process in which the ova producing cells give rise to the mature ovum. The process in which the ova producing cells, this is ova producing cells or egg cells, give rise to mature ova. Only one egg cell converted into mature ova from each ovary. Then what is oogenesis? Oogenesis is the process in which the ova producing cells give rise to mature ova. Ovulation is another important process happening inside the ovary. Ovulation is the rupture of the follicle releasing the egg. What is ovulation? Here you can see is rupture of the follicle releasing the egg. That process is called ovulation. Ovulation is the rupture of the follicle releasing the egg. Who will pick up this released egg? The released egg is picked up by fimbriae. Here you can see finger-like projections present in the oviductal funnel. Oviductal funnel of oviduct, or another name of oviduct, fallopian tube. Then these finger-like projections of oviductal funnel picked up this mature egg, released egg, and enter into fallopian tube. Then what happened to the remnant of the follicle? This remnant of the follicle, the ruptured follicle, persists for some time inside the ovary and it will convert into yellow mass called corpus luteum. This ruptured follicle or remnant of the follicle persists some time inside the ovary to convert into a yellow mass called corpus luteum. Ovary secretes two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen was secreted by the follicle prior to ovulation. Then progesterone secreted from the corpus luteum. What is corpus luteum? After ovulation, the remnant of the follicular cells convert into corpus luteum or yellow mass called corpus luteum. Then progesterone produced from corpus luteum. This progesterone keeps the uterus in a state suitable for implantation. Oviducts or fallopian tubes or uterine tubes are very important organ present in female reproductive system. This is an accessory reproductive organ which is the primary reproductive organ present in female reproductive system. Here a pair of ovaries because it produces ovum or egg. All other organs are accessory reproductive part of female reproductive system. Oviducts or fallopian tubes or uterine tubes are accessory reproductive organ of female reproductive system. Uterine tubes or fallopian tubes are about 12 cm long. Here you can see that tube-like structure that is called fallopian tube or is oviducts. It is located near the corresponding ovary. Each oviduct has a funnel-shaped opening called oviductal funnel. Each oviduct has a funnel-shaped opening called oviductal funnel. Here you can see very clearly that oviductal funnel. This oviductal funnel consists of cilia or finger-like projections called fimbriae. These finger-like projections is called fimbriae. Lining the funnel help to pick up and push the released ovum. Here you can see that after ovulation, the egg or ovum is picked up by fimbriae or cilia and pushed into the oviduct. Then cilia or fimbriae lining the funnel help to pick up and push the released ovum into the oviduct. That is a function of fimbriae or cilia. It will help to pick up and push the released ovum into the oviduct. The next important reproductive organ present in female reproductive system is uterus. This is uterus. Uterus is a hollow, pear-shaped muscular organ. Very important. It's a hollow pear-shaped muscular organ. Where is it located? It's situated in the pelvic cavity between the urinary bladder and the rectum. Very important point you have to remember. Where is the location of uterus? Situated in the pelvic cavity between the urinary bladder and the rectum. It has two regions, an upper wider portion receive two oviducts and a small lower constricted part, the cervix or neck. Here two regions you can see in uterus is an upper wider portion. Wider portion receive two oviducts. Here you can see that this wider portion receives two oviducts and small lower constricted region. Constricted part, the cervix or neck. This region is cervix or neck region. Another reproductive organ present in female reproductive system is vagina. The vagina is a muscular tube 10 to 15 centimeter long. Here you can see that it's a muscular tube 10 to 15 centimeter long, starting from the lower end of the uterus up to the outside. Vagina, what is the function of vagina? Vagina receives the male penis during copulation. Then one more function is there. The great elasticity of its wall allows the passage of baby during child's birth. The opening of vagina in young females partially closed by a thin membrane called hymen. Another name of hymen is virgin knot. The hymen is frequently ruptured in childhood due to strenuous physical exercise or disease. Vulva is another important reproductive organ present in female reproductive system. This is female reproductive system. The external female genitalia is called vulva. It contains independent opening of the urethra and vagina. The sides of the vulva have two small fleshy folds, the labia minora. The labia minora, which are hidden by hairy folds, labia majora. Labia minora, which are hidden by hairy folds, labia majora. Labia minora and labia majora, these folds are equivalents of the male scrotum. You know that what is scrotum is. Those who have any doubt, you can go through the last video, reproductive system part 1. You can go through that. Then in the uppermost angle of the vulva, here you can see that the uppermost angle of the vulva in front of the urethral opening. In front of the urethral opening is located a small erectile clitoris, which is highly sensitive and is the equivalent of male penis. Clitoris is equivalent to male penis. Then labia majora and labia minora, that is equivalent to male scrotum. Let us go through the different functions of female reproductive organs. First one, ovaries. Ovaries are the primary reproductive part of or primary reproductive organ of female reproductive system. Follicle cells produce ova, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone are the very important hormone produced from ovaries. Then the next organ is oviducts, or we can say fallopian tube or uterine tube. We already discussed that. What is the function of oviducts? Transport ovum into the uterus. Remember, transport fertilized ovum or egg into the uterus, because fertilization takes place in the oviduct, and then zygote travels down into uterus via oviduct. That is the function of oviducts. Then the next organ is uterus. Uterus protects and nourishes the growing embryo. Another reproductive organ of female reproductive system is vagina. Vagina receives the sperms. Then vulva. Vulva protects urethra and vagina. These are the functions of different female reproductive organs. What is the role of hormones in reproduction? The ovaries of a young girl start functioning around the age of 10 to 14 years. It starts releasing the ova. That process is called ovulation, and this stage in her life is known as puberty. At about the same time as the first ovulation, the ovary also releases sex hormones, estrogens, into the bloodstream. Then estrogen is a female sex hormones produced from ovary. In boys, puberty takes place around the age of 11 to 15 years of age. The testes start producing testosterone. Testosterone is a male sex hormone produced from testes. These is estrogen and testosterone responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics in female and male respectively. What is menarche and menopause? These two are very important stages of females. What is menarche? Menarche is the onset of menstruation in a young female at about the age of 13 years. Then what is menopause? Menopause is the permanent stoppage of menstruation in females at about the age of 45 years. Let us learn menstrual cycle. What is menstrual cycle? The reproductive period of the human female continues from about the age of 13 years to 45 to 50 years. The period of menstrual cycle is counted from the day of the onset of the flow to the next onset after 28 days. There are 4 different phases of menstrual cycle. They are menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, and luteal phase. These 4 are very important phases of menstrual cycle. The period of menstrual cycle is counted from the day of the onset of the flow to the next onset after 28 days. The first phase of menstrual cycle is menstrual phase. It lasts for 3 to 5 days, during which blood is discharged. Here you can see that is menstrual phase lasts for 3 to 5 days. Then how is it happening? The bleeding caused due to the shedding and rupturing of the blood vessels that make up the thickened innermost lining of the uterus. This is the thickened innermost lining of the uterus. It's called endometrium. Then at the time of menstrual phase, the bleeding caused due to the rupturing of endometrium. You can say rupturing and shedding of blood vessels from the uterus. Here you can see in this picture, you can see the bleeding caused due to the shedding and rupturing of blood vessels. Then endometrium ruptures. Starting from the onset of menstrual flow, ovary begins to form a new egg in a follicle. Here is ovary at the same time. In the menstrual phase, the onset of menstrual flow, ovary begins to form a new egg in a follicle. Then egg formation happens in the menstrual phase. The next phase of menstrual cycle is follicular phase. It continues from days 5 to 12. Here you can see that this is follicular phase, 5th day to 12th day. As the follicle grows, the amount of estrogens produced by the ovary increases. Follicle cells secretes estrogen. Then in follicular phase, production of estrogen increases. This hormone then acts on the uterus and causes its lining to become thicker. Here you can see that is due to the action of estrogen, uterus lining become thicker and develop more blood vessels. This change is a kind of preparation of uterus to receive the fertilized egg and assist in the early implantation of the embryo and its subsequent development. The next phase of menstrual cycle is ovulatory phase. Ovulation happens in this phase on about 13th or 14th day. On about 13th or 14th day, the follicle, graphene follicle, ruptures and releases egg. That process is called ovulation. This released egg travels down the oviduct. That we already discussed, released egg travels down the oviduct with the help of fimbriae, finger-like projections present in the oviductal funnel. That will pick up the egg and push the egg into the oviduct. In ovulatory phase, two hormones are produced from pituitary gland. They are follicle stimulating hormone FSH and luteinizing hormone LH. These hormones promote maturation and release of the ovum, release of the egg or ovum. Then what is the function of FSH and LH? Follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. This will promote maturation and release of the ovum or egg. The next phase of menstrual cycle is luteal phase. It lasts from days 15 to 28. Here you can see days 15 to 28. This phase is luteal phase. Yes, what is happening in this phase in ovary and uterus that we are discussing? Uterus lining thickens further. In this phase, in luteal phase, uterus lining thickens further. Here you can see that. But in the ovary, after the release of the ovum, the remnant of the follicle convert into a yellow mass called corpus luteum, or we can say the emptied follicle in the ovary turns into hormone producing tissue called corpus luteum that produces a hormone progesterone. Then progesterone produced from corpus luteum. This progesterone produced in which phase? Luteal phase. If the ovum fertilized, corpus luteum continues to release progesterone and so keeps the uterus in a state suitable for implantation. The term implantation that we will discuss in the next video, fertilization. Then what happens if the ovum fertilized? Corpus luteum present inside the ovary continues to release progesterone. This progesterone keeps the uterus in a state suitable for implantation. Then fertilization occur inside the oviduct or fallopian tube, or we can say uterine tube. Then if the ovum fertilized, corpus luteum present inside the ovary continues to produce progesterone. Then what is the function of progesterone? It keeps the uterus in a state suitable for implantation. However, if on the other hand, there is no fertilization. Suppose there is no fertilization, the ovum disintegrates. The ovum present in the oviduct or fallopian tube disintegrates and the corpus luteum stops producing progesterone. As a result, the thickened lining, that is called endometrium, the thickened lining, here you can see that, the thickened lining of the uterus, that is called endometrium, restarts shedding on the 28th day and loses blood which escapes through the cervix and vagina. Here you can see the different phases of menstrual cycle. First one, menstrual phase, then follicular phase, third ovulatory phase, then fourth phase is luteal phase. You can observe the changes in uterus in different phases of menstrual cycle. Revision. Name the following. Uterine wall that is shed during menstruation. Endometrium. The fully developed part of the ovary containing a mature egg. Graphene follicle. Choose the odd one of each of the following. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, prolactin. Here, testosterone is the odd one as it is a male hormone. Other three are female hormones. Ovary, fallopian tube, ureter, uterus. Here, ureter is the odd one as it is a part of excretory system, human excretory system. Then ovary, fallopian tube, uterus. These three are coming under female reproductive organs. Identify the diagram and label the parts. This is female reproductive system. Label the parts. First one, vagina. Second, cervix. Third, endometrium. Fourth, ovaries. Fifth one, fimbriae. Sixth, oviduct or fallopian tube. 7. Uterus. Thank you, children. Have a good day. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you.